I am quite pleased with myself because I have just finished my extreme table runner in Yucatan style, so using Yucatan motif. So you can see the Yucatan motif here, and there, and there. What you're looking at here is the printouts that I've made of the quilt so I can line, or the table runner so I can line everything up. The leaf motif, that's taken from 3 different leaves, GIFs on the internet, so digital ones, and then I've converted that into a file which you can use. So basically, that's roughly how it's going to look, and I will show you the finished product shortly. So I have basically put Tarlatan, which is this netting, on the back, so it gives it an extra bit of stiffness, and that hopefully will make it sit well. So you can see the appliqué pieces from that side, but this is the Tarlatan there, whereas otherwise it would look like the fabric. So here's the final result. So these, of which there are 2 types, so I've alternated them between the lighter and the darker version. Those have been I converted those in SewArt and then printed them out on, well, sewed them out on my Brother LB6810. These are converted from a picture I took in Mexico. I then converted them in SewArt, I printed them out, and then, as you can see, I've also quilted all around here to give them a bit of texture. Then I've appliqued them on. This is also taken from an image that I found, but this is all done by hand. So on machine, free motion embroidery to do that, and then quilted and appliqued. This is also done the same way. Drew it out, then free motion embroidery to all those, and then I quilted around to give it a bit of variety. So just to give you an idea how fast I am, this took me about 3 hours of embroidering to do, and you get an idea of the amount of work that went in that. So it's taken me altogether probably, and you see this is the reverse image fish, so I flipped them in Buzz tools, because I use Buzz tools as well to connect to my machine. I flipped it and did the reverse image, and then I split it to fit. And this is a different image here, quilted as well, appliqued on. So that is the table runner as it stands at about 7 feet long in total. And then you can see on the end there I've added an extra one just for the sitting place. So that's that kind of work. And I'm quite pleased with it. I think it looks rather fun. So I hope you enjoy that. The other thing that might intrigue you is the number of bobbins that I had to wind for all of this. So roughly 1.5 bobbins for each of these, full bobbin for this, roughly about 6 bobbins in that, I think 3 in that, 2 or 3. So there's a lot of bobbins in all of this. And then of course bobbins to sew it, quite a few to applique around the edge. So I've been busy using lots of thread.
La liberté sous caution est révoquée, j'ordonne le placement en détention. J'ai dit vous pouvez emmener la... Vous pouvez pas faire ça, j'ai des droits. Vous aurez aussi... Rassurez-vous, Tyler, on fera appel. Vous n'êtes qu'un vieux pingouin corrompu.
Thought I would show you how to add some subtle texture into some free motion embroidery here. So the first thing we want to do is thicken up the border a bit around the shape of the leaf we're adding here. I'm using my 1959 Brother Flairmatic here, which is a class 15 oscillating hook machine, and as totally expected, it works perfectly for this sort of stuff. Okay, so thickened up the outline, now we're going to add some texture. So the important bit is, depending on the shape you want, you have to add a fairly thick line. So any type of really thick lines that you want to put in, and what you do is embroider a different direction around them. Slightly. Good enough there. And then what we'll do is, with the needle in, we'll switch directions. In this case, I'm just making some sort of a zigzaggy type pattern. You can use any type of shape you want. If you wanted to make a grain in the middle, switch again. Direction again.
Les 2 ou 3 ans. Vous attendez toujours votre tour.
Here. There's your subtly placed pattern. Now, wherever it's narrowest, you start, and you start with a zigzag stitch. So you either do this manually, or if you have a zigzag machine. This is a zigzag machine, but it only goes up to 5 millimeters width, so the old-fashioned way still works very well. And you're only going to the edge of each of the lines on the borders, basically, that you've left before. You don't want to go too far into them. A little bit doesn't matter much. Otherwise you'll lose too much of the detail that you want to be a little excessively subtle. Now we've got to the next one. So because we start at the thin end, what happens is as you go down, you end up at the thick end, and then you're again starting at the thin end when you get to the next one. Using this type of shape, of course, depending on the type of shape you use, it will entirely alter the starting and end points. But it doesn't matter so long as the direction you're going or the type of stitch you're making is totally different between the areas you want to look different. So you could do French knots or any sort of circular pattern or on a completely different angle. It doesn't really matter as long as it's in a different direction than the other part. So I started this project, and its combination, it's definitely grandfather and grandson, but it's all on brother machines. So my 1959 Flairmatic, my 2014 brother LV 6810. So I used the digital stitching as much as possible, and then made a change to using the brother LV6810 for free motion like I'm doing here. And then I found that the bobbin paste had reached its end of life. So it made it just a year, and I didn't think I sewed that much. I've done a fair amount of embroidery, but I'm now aware that really I have to. So I've ordered 2 because I've been out of commission on that machine for 6 weeks, for about 3 weeks now. But so I've ordered a spare one so that I know that when I wear it out next time I won't have to sit around and wait. But obviously it doesn't matter because this works very well as well. In fact, it's, I think, in some ways easier to control the speed of a treadle than even that very fancy digital machine. So the results are, you can't really tell the difference if you're good at this stuff, which I'm getting pretty good at. So you go as wide as is sensible for a satin stitch, and then you just go over to the normal fill stitch. In a minute I will show you what the results are. You start speeding up once. It's actually harder in the smaller spaces because you can't do as many stitches in between. You don't want it to be too small because then it won't look right. So once you get to a big piece like this, you can actually go quite quickly to fill it in. Okay, and last but not least, the back of the So that's done. So let's see if that shows up in the camera now. Yeah, so you can see that works really well. It's just a subtle imprint in there, and you can do any design like that.